All right, good morning or good afternoon, everybody. It is 4:02 p.m. on Monday, July 26th, 2021. And I will call this meeting of the Englewood Environmental Foundation to order. Michelle, if you could read the roll call, please.
Yep, Director DeAndrea.
Present.
Director Lowe. I think you're muted, Jackie.
Present.
Director Underhill.
Present.
All right, all members present. So at this time, we'll open it up. Michelle, if you could pull up the agenda, please. I don't know if we had any minutes from the last meeting to approve. Here. Can you guys see my screen? I'm not seeing it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I cannot, but we don't have, doesn't look like we have minutes. So we'll go to recognition of public comment. Oh, well, there's the minutes. I'm sorry. So we have public comment first. So I know we do have a few folks who are planning to attend to talk about use of the remnant parcel at Floyd and Cherokee. So that is on the agenda. So we'll give you time to talk about that at that time when that item comes up. Is there anybody here just for general public comment on EVE? If you can, just speak up or unmute yourself. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. So our next item is approval of minutes from our July 8th meeting of 2021. I'll pull those up. So this was when we talked briefly about the planning to have a discussion about the framework agreement and then decided to forego that. So it was a very short meeting. So I'll move to approve the minutes as they stand.
I will second.
All right. Motion and second. Any further discussion? Okay. Michelle, if you could take the vote, please.
Director Lowe.
Approve. Aye.
Director Underhill.
Aye.
Director DeAndrea.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. All right, so then we'll move on to old business and the guild lease deferment. So when we had talked at our May meeting, we had met with the guild membership, their office director, about deferring the lease. I believe at that time I went back and reviewed the meeting tape, and it sounds like we were talking about going through August. Their original request had been through July of 2021. And we were thinking maybe through August just to give them another month of deferment to kind of get back on their feet. So I'm comfortable with that. I don't know how you two feel, or if you want to stick with just this month of July, or discuss going longer. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I remember, Maria, I remember we asked the chairperson what they have done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have they applied for grants? Do we have an answer from the chairperson?
He did send me a note saying that they had applied for those grants through the community development department. So they had exhausted those. I'm sorry, I did not forward that to you guys, but they did exhaust their opportunities through what they felt were available to them.
How about the federal grant, like PPP payroll protection plan? Or did they just go through the city? Did they go out to foundation or the federal grant? What efforts they have?
Sure. Let me pull up his email and I'll read
Okay.
that. If I can find it. Here we go. Okay. All right, so he did send this, and I apologize. I thought he had copied you all, but doesn't look like it is. It says grants available to us outside help from Englewood helped us with a $2,500 business initiation grant to support the Guild in 2017. During COVID, we applied for and received both a $4,000 business support and recovery grant, as well as the $1,000 marketing and reopening grant, both in 2020. Darren Hollingsworth confirmed that we are not eligible for other grants and that he is not aware of any other grants for businesses in Englewood. We have researched possible other grants and not found any. PPP round 2, our accountant has confirmed that because PPP loans are based on payroll and the Guild has no payroll, because our one part-time employee is remunerated via the ownership group, we don't run payroll through the Guild, as it would be more expensive to maintain a payroll system for one part-time person than we have in payroll expense. Therefore, we are not eligible for PPP. Ironically, our business is all about giving people a place to work, but we actually employ only one part-time person, which is not directly through the Guild, as our accountants set it up to be. So we would be so grateful for your consideration and approval of a 50% lease mitigation as we ramp back up. After speaking with you, hearing your expectation for business as usual in town center to more likely than not continue as it is for some time, we would love to invest more in this space. So he doesn't give a specific date. So I guess that's open for us to discuss.
So if he's willing to pay 50%, should we ask them to pay 50% for August? And when is the due date for their rent? Or we want to forego the August rent and start having them pay 50% in September?
I think the idea was to have them pay 50% of the lease through a certain date and then go back to 100%. So I think it's, when do we feel comfortable that they would be back at normal occupancy?
I'd be okay letting them do the 50%. I think the question is what works best for them as well, and what can we afford to give up for what period of time?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we are still incurring the full lease costs every month.
Right.
Yeah. Shall we ask them to send us a report to their membership, like from January this year up to year to date? Then we can also compare the number to see the actual in the past before COVID, and we can pick once they are regaining their membership up to 80%, that will be the time we assess 100% of their rent. Should we use some historical data to make a decision?
Okay. So let's say we compared July of 2019 to July of 2021 and see if they're kind of back on track again.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So give us something more concrete to
Yeah.
base our decision on.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very good idea. And that should be relatively easy for them to pull together too.
Mhm. Yeah, also historical data for the entire year 2019. So it's
Yeah. Mhm.
the seasonality of their business cycle.
Okay. So Jackie, would you make a motion to that effect then? Could you kind of summarize that in a motion?
Okay, so motion, we will obtain the 2019 actual membership status from the guild and the 2021 membership status up to July. And the E board will make decision based on the historical data to determine when to charge them 100% rent. And at this juncture, we won't have them pay only 50% for August or still let go to August. What's our decision?
Okay.
No, I'm a question. The second part, I'm not quite clear. Oh, we will
Yeah, I
not make decision until we get the data.
Yeah, maybe it's just getting the data right now is our first step. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Maria, do they typically pay at the first of the month or end of the month for?
It's the first for the next month.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll make a second to Jackie's motion.
Okay.
Director DeAndrea?
Pardon, Michelle?
Oh, I'm gonna take vote on the motion.
I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
That's better.
Not very clearly.
Okay. Director DeAndrea?
Yes.
Director Lowe?
Yes.
And Director Underhill?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. I will communicate that with Mr. Curtis. Okay. All right. So our next agenda item is we're going to new business now. So the Floyd and Cherokee remnant parcel usage. So I'm going to just share a photo of the area that we're looking at. So this is a little piece. It's just for directions here. So Cherokee, Floyd Avenue is the kind of the north boundary of Eve, except as you see here in the photo, Floyd Avenue at some point was kind of rerouted to the south slightly. So it more than likely used to continue straight. There's a parking lot over here, and then you can see this outlined parcel in yellow is essentially leftover Eve land or right of way when Floyd Avenue was moved slightly to the south, or that angled down to the south. So there is a proposal that was received from by the city to consider doing something with this property. And so I know we have several people in attendance. So if any of you want to speak to this, if you could just come off of mute, and we'll take you in whatever order you come off of mute.
Great, thanks. I think,
Yeah, Meg, would you like to speak to this?
yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
So my name is Meg Donaldson. I am the neighborhood leader for the Cushing Neighborhood Group. And I have some neighbors on the line as well, Michael and Andrea. So Michael lives on Cherokee, and Andrea lives in that home you see here on the corner of 3291 South Cherokee Street. So we've been working together over the last several months to kind of brainstorm what this lot could be. It's a pretty prominent lot on the corner of an entrance to our neighborhood. And we would really like to see it utilized in a better way than an empty parking lot that tends to draw, you know, disruptive behavior. RVs park there. Andrea, I'm sure, could talk to all of the activities that occur in front of her home. So we'd really like to seek further input from our neighbors and create a green space of some sort here. We envision, low maintenance space that people can really enjoy from all areas, from the businesses across the street of Floyd to our neighbors. We have some ideas started, but our main goal is really just to create a more usable, friendly space with permeable surfaces, an entrance to our neighborhood to really beautify that corner, increase pedestrian access, to the future city center areas that are going to be developed over the next several years. And so we don't have plans solidified yet, but we've been working with Madeline Hinfis of the Neighborhood Program Department, and she suggested this be our first step to bring it in front of you all for your consideration and allowing us, to explore further use of this lot. So.
Great. Andrea or Michael, would you like to add anything?
Hi everyone, this is Andrea. Nothing really much else to add, really just to reiterate some of what Meg was saying. As she mentioned, I am the owner of the house sort of, just north of the lot. And I definitely see just lots of opportunity there for both reducing it as as she mentioned, some general kind of unsavory activity, but also, we do have lots of foot traffic there, and this is a major thoroughfare between the downtown area and then getting over to the light rail, which I know is also in just generally with the city under consideration for rezoning and redevelopment. So we see this as definitely a great opportunity to continue with that and to use this as a real flagship corner of the Cushing neighborhood group, which Meg is leading.
Great. And Michael, any comments?
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to reiterate what was already provided. Maybe just add that aesthetic improvement and sustainability, putting some green living trees, plants, structures in there, we all believe in, and it would really enhance the neighborhood significantly. So we're very flexible. What we don't know are constraints, boundaries, concerns, issues, and I could just offer that if we were allowed to proceed, we would certainly honor any of those concerns or restrictions. We've got lots of creativity and lots of energy. We just need some guidelines to follow.
Absolutely, great. Well, thank you all for showing up and helping us get some perspective on that. I have had the chance to talk with with our EAF legal counsel about this, and it's certainly doable where we could use a sort of an agreement that we used in other places within the town, although this would be specific as it's an EAF parcel, but where we would give basically in an agreement to allow the neighborhood association to put up some sort of improvements, whether that be, like a sign or anything else that you wanted to do within the space. And then those would be subject to revocation if and when we ever needed the property. So it's a pretty standard agreement. If you guys did want to move forward with that, he would draft something up for you guys for the neighborhood association to take a look at and make sure you're comfortable with that. And then that would give you basically the opportunity to move forward with any of your plans. So that's kind of the legal aspects. At this time, we would expect that there would not be any funding. There has been no funding request from the neighborhood group for any kind of the improvements. So the assumption is that the neighborhood group is going to develop those funds, and whatever improvements are made, that would come from some sort of funding other than the city. So I think the question before the EAF board today is whether or not the board is amenable to that option of kind of having this revocable agreement with the neighborhood association. And then if so, directing me to go back and work with the legal counsel to draft something up. So do you have any comments or questions at this time for either myself or the citizens?
One quick question, Maria. What is square feet of this parcel?
I'm sorry, you broke up, Jackie.
Oh, what's a square feet of this parcel?
I'm sorry.
The square footage of that
Oh,
parcel.
the square footage. Okay. I'm not quite sure. It looks like, you know, if this is a typical lot, which is 50 by, I believe, 125, it's probably in that 5,000, maybe 6,000 square foot range, that entire parcel. Maybe a little bit more.
Question I have is, does EVE pay property taxes on this parcel?
No, as a nonprofit, we don't pay any property taxes.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Well, I love seeing pavement turn into green space, so I'm definitely for this project.
Yeah, I think in concept, definitely I'm in support too. You know, anytime, you know, at this time, we have no need for the property. I'm sure it does collect either people, cars, or other things. So anytime that we can help to make things look better, we'll certainly would like to facilitate that. So I'm in favor of proceeding with some sort of a agreement. Any thoughts from you, Jackie?
Sounds good.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to that effect is for the EAF legal counsel to draft a revocable agreement and to share that with the Cushing neighborhood group for their consideration.
I will second that.
Any further discussion? Okay. Michelle, if you could take the vote, please.
Can you hear me?
No.
Director DeAndrea,
Yes.
Director Lowe,
Yes.
Director Underhill.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. And
Thank you
I'll
for
be
your time.
sure to keep Madeline copied as well.
Great, thanks so much.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next agenda item is the change order for the RTD elevator modernization. And I believe John's on the line, so he can, if you could, John, just give us a brief overview of this item.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. So we're currently undergoing or beginning to undergo the modernization for the RTD elevator. And with further, once we got the original purchase order issued and this vendor released, we started looking at some unforeseen conditions in regards to the existing elevator pit, in which was highly recommended by the vendor that we've hired to go through, drain the elevator pit and properly dispose of all of the particulates and everything. It's our understanding that the pit's never been cleaned since its construction. So I believe the elevator was constructed in 2000, if I'm not mistaken. So you can imagine there's quite a bit of settlement at the bottom of that elevator pit. And since we're pretty much starting completely over with all of the major components of the elevator, is highly recommended by the vendor to perform this prior to the modernization project.
Any questions?
Quick question, John, is the vendor the best vendor to clean to get a pit clean, or is another vendor that?
I believe they hired a third party within their contract, their current contract, to perform the services.
Okay.
So it's a turnkey change order. So there's no additional vendors or outside vendors that'll be bringing in.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve this change order to clean the pit out underneath the elevator at the RTD station.
Second. All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Michelle, if you could take the vote, please.
Director DeAndrea,
Yes.
Director Lowe,
Yes.
and Director Underhill.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And we have let's see here. Go back. Okay, so we have another agenda item for landscape planter restoration along Englewood Parkway. So again, John, if you could give us a brief overview of this.
I'd love to. So we were approached by Artlock, who does pan to cam a few months back as far as some replenishing of planters that I don't believe have ever been restored since the original construction. So been working with Artlock as far as defining scope. At first we priced up to do pretty much the whole block, and this is all areas that definitely need to be addressed. So we do have some dead and dying grasses and bushes and stuff in and around Artlock. So within respect of the scope, it was pretty extensive as far as if you look around the whole the block between Galapagos and Inca and Englewood Parkway and Floyd. It was quite a bunch of stuff. So we scaled that back just so we go overblown on it. So I wanted to start I'm proposing to start with the main storefront areas on the north side of Englewood Parkway as it's clouded there. So that's what this proposal's for. And I went and got a second quote just to keep our current landscaper, who we are in contract Terra Care, honest. So I solicited a second quote because of the dollar amount to do compared to. So that's what we're looking at for there. It's quite a bit of scope, but it's not nearly as much scope as the balance of it. And we're planning on including that in our budget for 2022 for the balance of this.
Two questions, John.
Yes.
The first, I wonder if you have the information. I'm not sure. Do you know when the last time we did some landscaping in this area?
From the information that I tried looking at, I don't believe it's ever been. There is signs that it could have been refreshened in the past, but the planters that are in the right of way there, they're about 36 inches deep. So as you can imagine, the material after time with decay, everything settling down, the suggestion from the landscaper and the arborist would be to take all of the existing material and start fresh, just so we can get another 20 to 30 years out of it.
Okay. Another question is, you said you were going to put a remainder of the funding needed for 2022. What is the estimated dollar amount?
We're still working on that because the only preliminary pricing that I attained was just around the Artlock block that's shown on the screen right now. Whereas there's, if you go west, that's another art walk block as well, which I did not do any pricing exercises on that area. But that my plan for this year is to get all the planning and budgetary in place so we can plan for next year.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see here, it's a little bit hard to see, but in front of this building and along the north side, there's landscaping there too, which needs to be freshened up, as well as along, I know this side and maybe even the back here. I don't know if there's this much on the west side of this building, but definitely you can see it there in the drawing.
Yeah, I'm also working on part of that budgetary exercise as well. I'm having them price up tree replacement in and around EAF, and currently we have about 100 trees that are either dead or dying, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
you're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Yes, I'll second.
Christina, did you do the first?
I did not, but I can.
Sorry. Okay.
I thought I heard Jackie say a second.
I'll second. Okay,
Okay.
you just do motion then.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want me to make the motion to approve the restoration of the planters along Inglewood Parkway?
Yes. Okay. And Jackie, you're going to second that? Okay. All right. Any further discussion? If not, Michelle, can you take the vote, please? I'm sorry?
Director DeAndrea,
Yes.
Director Underhill,
Yes.
and Director Lowe.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. All right. I believe that's the end of our agenda. Let's go back. Yes, so is there any other items from the board members you wish to talk about?
Just quick questions. When are we going to compile and approve the 2022 budget with you? Or we don't have because we're going to pay down the outstanding loan? No, I think we still need to have a budget because we will still be maintaining the area.
Yes, so John, we have put a preliminary budget together. It's in Tyler New World. I think John's still getting some of these additional costs that we want to consider. So I think we put the total dollars in there. Now it's kind of breaking down like for professional services or some of these other things that we want to do to get a more detailed of what those costs are. But I'm going to add that to our next agenda.
Okay.
To review the 2022 budget as proposed currently.
Okay. Also, are we going to meet next Monday to review all the requests from PDA?
Yes, so Dan Paremba wants to go over that framework agreement, and I believe he's trying to establish that date for next week sometime.
Okay.
I have not heard the exact date or time.
Okay.
But we will get the appointment out to you as soon as we know.
Thank you.
All right. Any other items? Okay. If not, then I will adjourn this meeting at 4:37 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.